By now, we have all heard about the raging war between Ukraine and Russia. And there are several schools of thought that has tried to explain why and how the war began. A lot of nations, especially in the West, has condemned Russia for waging the war, calling it unprovoked. India, however, has maintained its own diplomatic stance and refrained from raising any voice against Russia.
An invasion into a neighboring country. Why is that so? Can you really be neutral in a war for which obviously one side bears all responsibility?
Of course, India has its own reasons for doing so, but it has also faced some criticism from the West. But the real question that arises today is, does the Ukraine war affect India's security? The short answer is yes. But let us dig a little deeper into it. Let us begin with the economic implications. India is a major importer of oil and gas from Russia, and this war has caused energy prices to rise sharply. It has put a strain on India's economy, which can lead to inflation in the near future. India is also a major importer of wheat from Ukraine, and as a result of this war, the supply chain has been heavily disrupted, leading to shortages and price hikes. In terms of national security, this war poses some serious impact on India. Even though the country has no direct stake in the war, but it has still raised concerns about the security of India's borders. India shares a long border with China, and it is not a secret that there have been a lot of tensions between the two countries in recent years. The war has shown that even a major power like Russia can be defeated, and this could embolden China to take a more aggressive stance towards India. Next comes the political aspects, and this is the big one. The Ukraine conflict has far-reaching consequences which extends into the dynamics of Asian geopolitics.
I can give you many instances of countries who have violated the sovereignty of another country.
India has sought to navigate between expressing veiled concern for the Russian invasion and maintaining an important strategic and security relationship. India's cautious stance is being seen as tacit support of Russia. Its primary focus is navigating the hardened Western response to Russia's military advance and not abandoning Russia, a key historical ally. It needs both sides to contain the growing belligerence in its own neighborhood, that is China. The Russian invasion and a turmoil with the US and its allies would lead to pressure on India to choose between the Western alliance and Russia. Diplomatically, India required the US, its primary partner in a larger strategic response to China, to accept its neutrality. This was simple because Washington believed that India's significance to the Quad and its Indo-Pacific strategy was extremely important. India's diplomatic response to the Ukraine-Russia war has become a paradox and a topic of global criticism. The Indian government continues to hold a position that experts describe as maintaining strategic autonomy, meaning that India refuses to side with the West, chiefly the United States and its NATO allies. Let us now look at the defense implications. India has been dependent on Russia for military equipment, but the war has shown that this dependence is actually a security risk. The war will affect the supply of spares from Russia and upgrade programs of the equipment held by the Indian Army. The acquisition programs are likely to be affected, and the ongoing and planned defense deals with Ukraine are most likely to be written off, no matter what the end state after the war. Apart from these major factors, there are some noteworthy mentions. Risk of terrorism. The war in Ukraine has led to an increase in the risk of terrorism in India. This is because the war has created a security vacuum in the region, which terrorist groups can exploit. Challenges to India's neutrality. India has been trying to maintain a neutral stance on the Ukraine war, but this has been challenging. This is because the war has divided the international community, and India has been under pressure from both sides to take a more active role.
India, as a very influential country, has never publicly condemned Russia's assault and invasion into a neighboring country. Why is that so? Can you really be neutral in a war for which obviously one side bears all responsibility?
Well, look, I think in international relations, you have sometimes very complicated situations.
The full implications of the Ukraine war for India's security are still unfolding. However, it has become quite clear that it will have a significant impact on India's security for years to come.